Hello everyone, welcome to AK Edufusion YouTube channel. Now, if you're gearing up for competitive exams like RRB, SSC, or UPSC, you know the animal kingdom can feel like a total nightmare. Just a huge list of names and features, right? But what if I told you we could conquer it? Make it simple, make it clear, right here, right now. Let's do this.
All right, here's our battle plan. We're going to start with the absolute fundamentals, the classification system itself. Think of it as learning the rules of the game. Then, we'll do a quick run-through of the first three kingdoms to build a solid foundation. From there, we dive headfirst into the invertebrates, starting from the simplest creatures and building up to the masters of adaptation, the arthropods. And finally, we'll tackle the vertebrates, tracing that amazing evolutionary line all the way up to us, the mammals. By the end of this, you'll have a complete, crystal-clear map of the animal kingdom in your mind. Okay, first things first, the classification system. You see, before we can even begin to understand the animals, we have to get a handle on how scientists organize them in the first place. It's all about understanding the why and the how behind this grand system of life. Think of this as the story of how we learned to read the book of life. It started out super simple back in 1735 with Carl Linnaeus. He basically put everything into just two buckets, plants and animals. But as we got better microscopes and our knowledge exploded, we realized life was way more complicated. Now, for your exams, the magic year is 1969. That's when Robert Whittaker gave us the five-kingdom classification, the very framework that we still rely on heavily today. That's the one you really need to know. And here they are, Whittaker's famous five kingdoms. You've got Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and of course, the star of our show today, Animalia. Now, to really appreciate the animal kingdom, we need some context, right? So we're going to do a super quick tour of the first three, Monera, Protista, and Fungi, just to see the foundational building blocks of life before we zoom in on the animal world. Now listen up, this is something you absolutely have to burn into your memory. Think of it like a complete mailing address for any living thing on planet Earth. Kingdom is like the country, phylum is the state, class is the city, and you keep getting more specific all the way down to genus and species, which is like the street and house number. This specific order is a favorite question in exams, so make sure you know it by heart. Okay, section 2, the first three kingdoms. Now that we have our biological address system down, let's take a quick look at the first few countries on our map of life, Monera, Protista, and Fungi. This slide, my friends, shows the most fundamental split in all of biology. It's a huge deal. On one side, you've got the prokaryotes. That's Kingdom Monera, basically all the bacteria. Think of their cell as a messy room where everything's just floating around with no compartments. But on the other side, you have the eukaryotes. That's everyone else, including us. Our cells are super organized, with a dedicated office for the DNA, the nucleus, and all sorts of other specialized compartments. That one simple upgrade, the nucleus, completely changed the game for evolution. So, let's meet the protists, the very first eukaryotes. They're still just single-celled organisms, but they've got that all-important nucleus. And boy, have they got some clever ways to move around. You have the amoeba, which basically pours itself forward using these false feet called pseudopods. Then you have something like euglena, which zips through the water using a whip-like tail called a flagellum. These different methods of movement are key identifiers, so pay attention to them. Next up, fungi. Now here's a huge clue for your exams. Their cell wall is not made of the same stuff as plants. Nope, it's made of a tough, complex sugar called chitin. Second big clue, they are nature's ultimate recyclers. They can't make their own food, so they either break down dead material, which we call saprophytic, or they live as parasites. And don't forget their amazing partnership with algae to form lichens. It's a perfect example of symbiosis. And speaking of fungi, here are two killer facts you'll want to file away for your exams. First, a fungus literally gave us penicillin, the antibiotic that revolutionized modern medicine. And second, a great general knowledge point, India's first ever lichen park is located in Uttarakhand, which just goes to show how ecologically important they are. Remember these 2 points. And now it's time for the main event. We are officially entering the animal kingdom. We're going to start our journey with the invertebrates, the sprawling, massive majority of animals that live without a backbone. Now, for this section, your mission is simple. Spot the one unique, game-changing feature of each phylum. That's where the questions are always hiding. First up on our climb is phylum Porifera, the sponges. I want you to think of them as the absolute simplest blueprint for what an animal can be. In fact, they're so basic, they don't even have a nervous system. Their entire life revolves around a simple yet brilliant design. Water flows in through thousands of tiny pores called ostia. They filter out the food particles, and then the water flows out through a large opening at the top called the osculum. That's it. It's basically a living water filter. Okay, next we have the platyhelminthes, or as they're commonly known, the flatworms. And as the name suggests, their bodies are incredibly thin, flattened from top to bottom. For many of them, their key survival strategy is parasitism. The infamous tapeworm is a perfect example. And they have a very efficient way to reproduce. They are hermaphrodites, meaning each individual has both male and female reproductive organs. Now we see a massive evolutionary leap forward with phylum Annelida. We're talking about earthworms and leeches. The key word you need to remember here is metamerism. Just look at their bodies. They're built from a series of repeating segments. Now, why is this such a game changer? Well, it allows for specialization. Different segments can evolve to do different jobs, which leads to more complex bodies and better movement. This segmented design is a winning formula that nature will use again and again. And here is a classic exam question that comes straight from the leech. How does it manage to drink blood without it clotting up and blocking the meal? The answer is a biochemical weapon in its saliva called hirudin. It's an incredibly powerful anticoagulant. That's the term you have to remember, hirudin, a perfect adaptation for a blood-sucking lifestyle. We have now arrived at the undisputed rulers of the animal kingdom, at least in terms of sheer numbers and diversity. Phylum Arthropoda. We're talking about insects, spiders, scorpions, crabs, prawns. Over 80% of all known animal species belong to this group. Their evolutionary success is just mind-boggling. Just look at the incredible diversity on this slide. But what's the secret sauce? What is the common link that unites a butterfly, a scorpion, and a prawn? Well, it really comes down to two key things. First, they all have a tough, protective exoskeleton made of chitin. It's like their own personal suit of armor. And second, the feature that actually gives them their name. Jointed legs. Arthro means joint and poda means foot. These jointed legs allow for incredible mobility and adaptation. All right, we're getting so close. We are right on the doorstep of the vertebrates now. But before we cross that threshold, there are two more crucial and really fascinating invertebrate groups that we absolutely need to meet. Don't overlook these two. They've got some very unique tricks up their sleeves that are common exam topics. Let's meet the mollusca, the second largest phylum in the entire animal kingdom. These are the soft-bodied animals, a massive group that includes everything from a slow-moving snail with its calcium carbonate shell to the highly intelligent and shell-less octopus. And here's a fantastic fact for your exams. The octopus literally has blue blood. Why? Because instead of using iron-based hemoglobin like we do, it uses a copper-based protein called hemocyanin to carry oxygen. Next up, the echinoderms, these spiny-skinned animals like starfish and sea cucumbers. Two things you have to lock in for this phylum. One, they are exclusively marine. You will never ever find them in freshwater or on land. Two, and this is their absolute superpower, a unique water vascular system. I want you to imagine a complex network of internal pipes and canals filled with water. By controlling the water pressure inside these canals, they can move their hundreds of tiny tube feet, allowing them to grip surfaces and even pry open shells. It's a biological hydraulic system, and it's a true marvel of nature. And here we are. We have reached the summit of our climb, the vertebrates. These are the animals in our own phylum, Chordata, all defined by the presence of a backbone. So let's do a quick, high-impact overview of the 5 major classes that every single aspirant must know inside and out. But hang on, before we meet the classes, we need to understand one of the most important dividing lines among them. It's all about how they handle body temperature. Cold-blooded or poikilothermic, animals are kind of like a room without a thermostat. Their internal temperature just matches whatever the outside world is doing. This group includes fish, amphibians, and reptiles. On the other hand, warm-blooded or homeothermic animals, like birds and mammals, have an internal furnace. They constantly burn energy to maintain a steady, constant body temperature, no matter if it's hot or cold outside. This table right here is pure gold for your revision. But don't just memorize it. I want you to see the story it tells. It's the story of evolution pushing towards greater and greater efficiency. Just look at the heart. Fish have a simple 2-chambered pump. Amphibians add a 3rd chamber, which is a small step up, but the real breakthrough is the 4-chambered heart that you see in crocodiles, birds, and mammals. It completely separates oxygen-rich and oxygen-poor blood, creating a super efficient delivery system that's needed for the high-energy lifestyle of warm-blooded animals. Trust me, every single row in this table is a potential question.
So, there you have it. We've journeyed all the way from a simple sponge to a complex mammal. We've seen animals develop segmentation, exoskeletons, amazing hydraulic systems, and powerful four-chambered hearts. Every phylum, every class, has found its own unique and brilliant answer to the ultimate question of survival. So now the question for you is, which of these incredible evolutionary strategies do you find the most fascinating? Think about it.
All the best, all aspirant friends. AK Education ఛానల్ని సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేయండి.